I know the Port of Corpus Christi commissioners meet once a month. Yesterday was that meeting. What came out of that? Anything that you're particularly excited about? I know the agenda is usually pretty long. What are some highlights?
Well, there are a couple of things that came out of yesterday's commission meeting, Mike. The MOU to work with the city on seawater desalination and perhaps other water supply is something that I'm particularly excited about, and I've had some conversations with our city manager, Peter Zanoni, to that effect, and I think he shares in that excitement. So it's great to see us finally getting some alignment. I know there's been some political challenges around that project, but we all agree that water is a challenge for us in the Coastal Bend, and we have to solve for that challenge.
Well, let's talk about desalination since you brought that topic up, and I know it's an important topic for both the Port of Corpus Christi and the City of Corpus Christi. Why do you think it is that up to this point, people have not just seen you as allies or not even competitors, but more as adversaries in bringing desalination to this region?
Well, I think a lot of that discord has been promulgated in the social media sphere, and I don't think that it truly reflects the belief and the alignment that the city and the port have had. We have been partners for 100 years in many different areas, and we will continue to be partners for the next 100 years. We are called the Port of Corpus Christi. They are the City of Corpus Christi. So we're brothers in arms, so to speak. And I think that the media at times has really inflated some of those issues. We agree that water is an issue and water has to be solved for. We may disagree in certain areas on how to solve for water, but the good news is we're talking. And that's really the key, is getting everybody to the table and having everybody's voice be heard.
Do you hold out hope then that where there are areas of disagreement, you'll be able to find some workable solutions?
Well, I'm an eternal optimist. In fact, optimism is one of our core values here at the Port of Corpus Christi. I believe that because we've identified water as a common goal for the region, we certainly can establish where our positions are and then close those gaps very quickly with that dialogue that the MOU is really codifying.
Desalination is such an important topic that you're bringing in someone today from far away to talk about it and to maybe educate us about it. Tell me about that.
Well, Mike, when we talk about water issues, it's not just here in the Coastal Bend. The entire state of Texas has water issues. We have 30 million people in the state and 1,000 a day moving here. So we have to do something different than what we've done thus far in solving for water. That includes new water supply, like seawater desalination or perhaps groundwater. That also means effluent reuse. And there is a country that has done a tremendous amount in both of those areas, and that's the great state of Israel. So having an opportunity to bring a government official from Israel, the chairman of the Israeli Water Authority, to Corpus Christi to share their story of how this desert nation has solved for their water issues, we found that to be an opportunity that we just couldn't pass up.
That is pretty exciting. When we're talking about this, we're talking about these opportunities that you have. Some would say that the top three priorities of the port are desalination, desalination, and desalination. You would challenge that though, wouldn't you?
Oh, we certainly would. The Port of Corpus Christi is really an economic development agency. Our job is to build infrastructure that brings more investment to our region, more job creating investment, more investments that will yield more tax revenues to our local governments so they can do the great things that they do for our roads, public safety, education. That's really the role of any port authority in the country or around the world. We cannot bring that additional investment opportunities unless we solve for two key areas that we see as challenged today. One is water and the other is power. You know, down here in the Coastal Bend, we're at the end of the line, so to speak, when it comes to power distribution. So as our power needs grow, and they are growing exponentially, we have to look at all sources of energy that we can use to continue to bring that great economic investment to the region, bring more jobs to the region, bring more prosperity to the region.
I have heard you and others before say that really the port is its people. And I know in our conversations, you've been particularly excited about the internship program that you have here. Can you talk about that just a bit?
Well, people are any organization, any government, any country's most precious asset. And we have to make investments in tomorrow's leaders today. So having the robust Navigate internship program is what we call our program here, and bringing in some of these young, bright people who have ambition to better their educations and certainly position themselves for good paying jobs so they can go on in life and raise families and buy homes. That's really where we want it to start. It starts with our youth because they will be the captains of industry or government tomorrow. We want to start them off on the right foot today, and that's why we have a very robust internship program and all of our educational programs that we support. That's something that's certainly a great source of pride for us.
Now, as I understand it, a big part of that too is taking people who are already here, who maybe have grown up in this area, and keeping them here. Is that still a big priority for the port?
It certainly is, Mike. We've seen leakage of our talent, our youth. They go off to go to school or to learn a trade, and then they don't come back. And we've got to do something about bringing those kids back here or keeping them here so they too can have good paying jobs, build careers, and raise their families and keep our community vibrant. So it certainly is having that talent development and keeping that human capital here in the region is of the highest priority, not only for the Port Authority, but for all of our customers as well.
Let me switch topics a little bit here. I read a report recently that said that some of the crude coming from the Permian Basin is having to be sent to Houston instead of here because there are capacity issues. Now, is there any truth to that?
Well, we are seeing more volume move to Houston. It's not at the expense of Corpus Christi volume. That being said, here at the Port of Corpus Christi, we still have tremendous upside in our capacity at the marine terminals that move crude oil to the overseas markets that our allies and trading partners control. The challenge for us is really the pipeline, the takeaway capacity from the production fields out in the Permian, and to a lesser degree the Eagle Ford, but certainly the Permian, to Corpus Christi. Those pipes are becoming quite full. They're nearing 80% of capacity. Those pipeline operators, some have announced increased capacity by increasing their flow rates. So we still think we've got upside here. But the appetite for an American barrel internationally has never been higher, as we've seen based on the geopolitical events, the sanctions that have been placed on Russian crude, the alliance now with Saudi Arabia and China and Russia. That certainly is we're seeing an increased dependency from our Western European allies and our North Asia allies for more American energy. And that's a great opportunity that this nation has to grab the prize with our allies. But if we don't build more infrastructure, we don't get more infrastructure permitted and built, then we are going to be challenged to really support our allies, and we don't want them turning to despots like Vladimir Putin for their energy demands.
A couple more questions and I'll end it here. I know every year you guys are talking about breaking records from the previous year, from the previous quarter. Where are we going from here?
Well, we've been very fortunate in having the investment that's been brought here by private industry. Great companies, both American companies and foreign companies, making foreign direct investments right here in the Coastal Bend. But we don't take for granted our position as the leader in energy exports from the United States. We're going to continue to do more. And the industry and society is demanding that we do more in the energy space. That means cleaner, greener fuels. That means more atmospheric decarbonization commitments. And our customers have all made those decarbonization commitments to their shareholders and certainly to society at large. So what I think you'll see is you'll see an increase in the near term of traditional energy sources, while you'll see significant investments being made in some of these new energy sources like hydrogen.
A greener port is what we're talking about, right?
A greener port indeed, and a greener industry, and certainly a green state of Texas.
Sean, thank you very much, man.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you.
It's always very easy.